Cowarros is in the DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mythic Legions Cowarros figure from the Soul Spiller wave that just released. I also have a review up already of the Ice Troll from that wave, so go on and take a look at that when you're done with this video. That is a sweet figure. And Cowarros is basically a play on the Masters of the Universe Battle Cat. Mythic Legions has sort of a bit of a subline or a sub-theme where each year at PowerCon, the big Masters of the Universe convention, they do a couple exclusives, and they've been doing basically He-Man tribute figures. So this one is the 2018 figure that was also co-released in that Soul Spiller wave. And the other figure in this one was Evil Lyn. So that one's kind of hitting stores and hitting shelves out there now, Evil Lyn and Cowarros. Obviously, this is a play on Battle Cat. And they have some other ones. I think the very first one they did a few years back was Man-at-Arms. And then 2 years ago, they did He-Man and Skeletor. And then upcoming, so for 2019, this year, they're going to have Trapjaw and Panther. So as you can see, this is a orc, but it also comes with the cat head and like a main piece to kind of go over the top to give him like that total cat warrior look. And he's a member of the army of Leodicius and is sort of tasked with preventing the Soul Spiller from resurrecting Alithia, the queen of the vampires. So this is a good guy fighting for the good of the realm. And the orc style, I feel like you can turn him into a bad guy, and then like the cat style, you can turn into a good guy. So this is a pretty versatile figure with a lot of options, and I think it's great. It doesn't have a ton of accessories. Like sometimes these things come with a lot, but I think because of the tail and the mane, it makes it kind of feel like there's less, even though there's kind of a lot of stuff that it does come with. So super happy with this figure, and I feel like some of the like problems, like it does have a little bit of the looseness in the joints, but it's not quite as loosey-goosey as some of the other ones, so maybe they've been trying to deal with that a little bit. And then, of course, you have that blue sword, which is absolutely fantastic. So let's get into this review. All right, so getting a look at the packaging, you have pretty standard Mythic Legions slide-out, card-back type packaging, very collector-friendly. You can put everything back in. On this side, it's got the bio of Cowarros. On the back, it's got a few of the original figures on there. And it's also got the full-on Mythic Legions bio with the credits and production team and all that stuff. And then the logo for the Army of Leodicius on that side. So standard packaging, collector-friendly, good stuff. And getting a look at the paint, sculpt, and details on Cowarros. You can see this is how he looks straight out of the box. I don't have his mane on right now. But I'll put that on after and when we get into the accessories. But just looking at that head sculpt, there's some very intricately sculpted fur throughout the head. And they've done a few different versions of the cat head. They've done like a either like a cheetah or I forget, like a leopard maybe kind of version kind of guy. And then they've got a few other ones. And they got the purplor, the Panther figure coming up eventually too. And my eyes are painted pretty well. The pupils are red and centered nicely. It's got that cleanly painted black shiny nose, stripes throughout. Everything looks pretty good on mine. And then moving down to the body, your standard sort of orc body type, but it's got the the tiger stripes painted in over there. So looking pretty cool. Same usual sculpt there. Nice musculature. This is a 1.0 body type. And then getting into the gauntlets. It's painted in a sort of like a flat, rustish, sort of rusty orange type color. But then you have a brighter metallic orange decorating it throughout. So the same thing over here. Really nicely detailed. This piece is a soft skirt piece. This is another separate piece here. So the skirt and then this are two separate pieces. And then you can see into the legs, the same kind of musculature sculpted in there with, more of those tiger stripes and same kind of detailing into the boots. So big bulky orc boots there. And yeah, so it's a pretty cool looking figure, but it really shines once you get into like putting this thing on and putting, like the shoulder pads and all that stuff. So a lot of fun options with this guy. But before we get into that, let's take a look at how he stacks up with some other figures. All right, so keeping with the Animal Kingdom theme, let's see how he looks next to a couple animal-themed figures. We have Snake Man, a.k.a. Grisha the Slitherer, and then we have Raccoon Man. And so this is basically the Goblin body type from the 2.0 wave, and then this is the Elf body type. So, and then this is the 1.0, and then more Animal Kingdom. You have him next to Batman and a gorilla. As for accessories, it kind of feels like he doesn't come with a lot, although he sort of does have a lot of stuff with him, because he just has 2 shields and a sword, so it feels kind of like he just comes with a sword and a shield, whereas like a lot of characters are going to come with like a sword and a mace or a dagger and a bow or, multiple weapons. He just comes with the sword right here, and it's got a nice bronze handle to it. It's basically like a dwarven sword. I think Bromden came with a sword like this. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got that bronze handle, and then I love this blue blade. It just really, it makes it almost look like it's magical, like it's glowing, especially in certain light. But that's a really cool looking sword right there. But it is the only weapon he comes with. And then he does come with 2 shields. Sort of probably like this whole Cringer, Cowarros, cowardly lion sort of thing. He needs 2 shields to really protect himself. But yeah, painted nicely. You have these blue metallic rivets holding together the sort of like bronze metallic pieces there, and then you have a wood sculpt that has a very slight wash, I think, just a little slight black wash in there just to give it a little depth on that. But I like that their shields are painted both on the inside and the outside. It's a nice touch. And then the second head sculpt is this orc head. Pretty standard orc head. Nicely sculpted. I do love how they have like these little nicks and scratches and damage to it. But he's got these, cleanly painted tusks, and yeah, so looking pretty cool here. Got the he's got the mane, so this kind of transforms his body type, which is a really nice feature here and gives it a lot of variety. So you can go from, pretty much a standard orc body type to pulling the head off, putting the over shoulder piece on there, and then popping the tiger head on there. Now, it can be a little tricky because it can sort of, as you move him around, the head can sort of pop off a little bit, but it'll stay on there pretty well. And then in addition to that, so you can take a look at the details on that real quick before we go to the next piece, but it's got a nice gemstone with facets in the middle. I do have a little slight paint slop at the bottom of mine where the blue's coming onto the rest, but really it's barely noticeable. Some gold highlights, and that kind of fur texture comes down from his head into the mane and gives him that tiger kind of feel. And then it really builds out the head doesn't seem as big anymore. And to really kind of, in my opinion, the best look is to put these shoulder pauldrons, and this does have holes of its own so that you can put those in, even though it covers up the holes of the other part. So I think putting these on really completes the look and makes it look fantastic. But there is one feature here that you can't use if you put those on. If you want to put the shield on his back, which I think is a pretty cool look, especially considering he comes with the extra shield, you can put it on there like this too. So it'll stick right into that hole if you want to go with that look instead. But you can't put it in there with the shoulder pads on. You have to have one or the other. I would have liked it to be able to put it on there, but you just can't. So that's pretty much it. Oh, and then finally the tail. So the tail right here, you can see It's also got fur sculpt, and then that plugs right into his butt. There's just a hole right here. And it just plugs right in there. And it can, it's a ball joint, so it can kind of move around, and you can get it into different positions and stuff. So you can have it sort of up or down. Quite a few little options there for the tail. So yeah, I mean, he doesn't come with a ton of weapons, but he comes with a lot of things. So the value feels like it's there. And then he also has the shoulder strap as well. And I'm just going to point out a couple other items that I did pick up. Two other things. So first of all, anybody who ordered the Soul Spiller wave or placed any sort of Soul Spiller order within the first hour was given a bonus item. And if you're wondering what that bonus item was, if your order hasn't come in yet, or you're just not sure, you've heard people talk about it, it is a shield and mace set. So this is a standard shield and standard mace from the line. Yeah, that's what the bonus was. So it's a pretty cool add-on, a couple extra accessories with a unique styling and look to them. The last thing I did get, I just wanted to share this because I wouldn't do a video for something like this, but I also got this pin. They did a set of pins, one for each different legion, and this is the Sons of the Red Star pin. It's actually got two pieces on the back, but pretty cool looking pin. I'm going to be throwing that on my backpack for the next convention I go to, see if anybody notices. And for the articulation, this is some pretty standard Mythic Legions articulation here. The head is on a ball joint and can kind of rock around, spin, and it'll look up this far and it'll look down this far. So, these are fairly limited articulation compared to some of your imports and really like higher end kind of figures. But you can swing the shoulder all the way around like this, and it'll swing up this far and then back down. There is a swivel at the upper elbow, and then there's also a swivel at the forearm there, and then you can bring the arm up this far at the elbow joint and back down, just a single jointed elbow. Pretty common, sort of one of the common complaints about Mythic Legions is that the elbow joints are just a little under-articulated compared to a lot of modern figures. And then the wrist can swivel all the way around, and then it's also on a hinge. The waist, he can rotate. It's on a ball joint, so he can kind of crunch forward a little bit and then crunch backward quite a bit, and then spin around so you can get him into some action poses. And then the legs are on a hinge and swivel as well, so the leg can kick up pretty good amount and swing back about that far. He can do the splits out pretty much at 90 degrees out to the side. And then there's a swivel at the top of the thigh. You can see it right up in there. And then single jointed knee can come up this far. And then there is a swivel at the top of the knee. I believe it's at the top. Nope, it's at the bottom of the knee. And the ankles can point this far down and then this far up. And they do have that angled rocker so that he can get into a nice wide stance if you want him to stay flat-footed there. And sort of my one usual gripe about Mythic Legions is they do become very loose in those hips. As you're sort of articulating and messing around with it, it just becomes looser and looser. I got to go through my figures and do some tightening up of those joints. This is like super loose right here, but it is what it is. It just kind of comes with the territory. I've kind of, I deal with it. They're not crazy import prices. These aren't $80 figures. These are $30, $35 figures. Some of them are $20. So they're not like these crazy expensive things. And when you really look at it, these figures are all about the sculpt, the paint, the accessories, and just all of these really cool details. And it's just such a wonderful world that they've invented. And then they're paying tribute here to Masters of the Universe. And it's such a creative line. Such a great group of guys over there too. I've had chats with Cornboy on the group, on the various like collector groups and stuff. Chatted with him about Mythic Legions, about Mezco. He's such a nice guy. And so yeah, so I love this line. This figure is awesome. I'm going to keep collecting these. I was actually chatting with a friend on a group the other day who was telling me that he's complete, that he has every single Mythic Legions figure, which is an impressive feat because there are so many of them. If you are looking to be complete, you can check out my checklist. I've actually been working on a checklist on the site on DorkLair.com. You can find the Mythic Legions checklist if you want to see what figures you're missing, which ones are out there. I don't have links to like detailed photos, but it's a full list, and you can kind of just Google the name of them to find them. And there are some other details like which faction they're from, which wave or release they came from, and so on and so forth. So check out my checklist on DorkLair.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram, the DorkLair, on Twitter, DorkLair. And until next time, may the force be with you.
DorkLair.